Quinn. Now, all of the candidates have been asked to get back to Citizens Defending Library, completing a questionnaire on where they stand on libraries. Christine Quinn has gotten back. Her position is up on the web. It'll be linked to from the web page. It's important to note that on the question of selling off libraries, all of our questions, she sidestepped the questions and did not answer them. On the question of funding, she basically sidestepped that question, although she did include a statement of funding. Christine Quinn's position on the funding of libraries is a little bit like, you know when you have a war going on in a faraway country that isn't going well, the whole theory about declaring victory and just leaving. Christine Quinn has basically taken the underfunding of the libraries and declared that to be her victory. And if you look at her statement, I think you'll find that to be an accurate paraphrase. Although she sidestepped the questions in answering our questionnaire, I can supply this press release statement of hers that addresses her position on the Central Library Plan. The Central Library Plan is an incredible shrinkage of library space. It takes more than 380,000 square feet of space and shrinks it down into 80,000 square feet. It involves the sell-off of Mid-Manhattan. It involves the sell-off of Sybil. It involves the destruction of the Central Library Plan. Her statement on that is, this visionary project by the New York Public Library, embodied in this beautiful building by Norman Foster, is central to this great institution's evolution as a vital part of our city, as it has been over a century. I applaud the New York Public Library for listening and heeding the concerns of stakeholders and for crafting a project that sensitively addresses its dual mission as a great center of scholarship and as the people's library for all New Yorkers for the next century. So, Bill de Blasio, as many of you know, has had an event with Citizens Defending Libraries on the steps of the New York Public Library, where he called for a halt to the Central Library Plan. And we were very grateful that we were able to get him interested in our point of view and then to support it. He's currently the front runner in the polls. Of course, not everyone agrees with all the polls, but I want to read the letter that he sent to Mayor Bloomberg. I am writing to express my deep concern over the proposed changes to the city's library systems in Manhattan and Brooklyn. I am calling on the city to halt the New York Public Library's plans at the Central Library and for a thorough, independent cost audit and review of the proposed project. In addition, I am calling for a reconsideration of the Brooklyn Public Library's plans for the Brooklyn Heights and Pacific branches until a similar review can be completed. The city's 3 public library systems are critical public cultural institutions and have served our city well, supporting scholars and independent researchers, providing researchers and services for immigrants and job seekers, and serving as an intellectual home and refuge for lifelong learners and avid readers. Over the past 12 years, these institutions have faced budget cuts and public divestment, struggled to meet operating costs, forced to reduce hours and services, and suffered from hundreds of millions of dollars in deferred maintenance on aging air conditioners, boilers, computers, and roofs. But these fiscal challenges are not a rationale to engage in drastic measures. If anything, they underscore the need for prudence, frugality, and caution. The Central Library Plan, which involves a $150 million in dedicated city funds, would close and sell off the Mid-Manhattan Library and the Science, Industry, and Business Library, consolidating operations at the crown jewel of the New York library system, the Fifth Avenue Central Library of the New York Public Library. The plan involves a drastic alteration by architect Norman Foster and the relocation of a substantial portion of the site's distinguished research stacks. The New York Public Library claims this renovation cost $300 million and save the system substantial funds in the long run, but recent testimony by Tony Marks, president of the New York Public Library, suggested that this estimate has not been corroborated by independent sources and that the figure is preliminary. Outside critics have identified the substantial engineering challenges associated with the proposed renovation and are skeptical that the plan's $300 million price tag wouldn't grow much larger, potentially catastrophically so. The city should immediately halt all plans to sell Mid-Manhattan Library and the Science, Industry, and Business Library to developers until a thorough, independent, and publicly disclosed assessment is completed. This review should evaluate the complete financial risks associated with the current plan and seriously consider alternative ways to use city funds to ensure the preservation of the New York Public Library's valuable collection stored at the Central Library and preserve the Mid-Manhattan branch as a functioning library. In the words of New York Times architectural critic Michael Kimmelman, the last thing library officials want to be remembered for is trashing their landmark building and a digging of a money pit. Similarly, the Brooklyn Public Library System has explored the option of selling Brooklyn Heights and Pacific branches to developers in order to raise money to support the system and alleviate the need to make repairs at those sites. These sales, which would turn over public land permanently to private parties, should not be rushed through in the waning days of the Bloomberg administration. The Brooklyn Public Library needs money, and a reasonable and sensitive plan involving the retention of community space and partial redevelopment might be worth consideration, but a much more thorough review is needed. We need to ensure we are driving the hardest possible bargain with the developers and maximizing the public's return on land. Thank you for your attention in these matters. Now this goes to Tony Marks, it goes to Linda Johnson, who's the president of the Brooklyn Public Library, and it is written in his capacity as public advocate. Our one concern, and our questionnaire really drills in on this, is the concluding sentences that we need to ensure we are driving the hardest possible bargain with developers and maximizing the public's return on land. So the question is whether library sales would be permitted under what circumstances, and we've asked for clarification on that point. To let you know about other candidates, Adolfo Carolyn basically seems to be running a non-campaign and was not getting back to us at all, but we've seen him on other mayoral forums talking about the sale of public assets like public housing, he seems to be for it, so we would be wary. Joe Loda has asked for a special meeting with us, which we want to have, and maybe it would be an event as well. We want to have that happen before the primaries so we can take it into account in making our recommendations on the candidates. Bill Thompson, we have video up on our Citizens Defending Libraries YouTube channel of Bill Thompson answering a question. We consider that his answer sounds good, but it doesn't tie things down to our satisfaction. That's why we wanted him at this forum, and we've been after him since April to meet with us. So he has been giving us short shrift. I think that basically covers it, and if another candidate hasn't shown up, we are probably about ready to conclude. So I thank you all for coming here today. Carolyn, would you like to say anything?
Again, thank you everybody for being here. I see some retired librarians who are here and citizens from different boroughs, and I really appreciate it. I think I even see a couple of NYPL staff here. Thank you for coming. And if you have any questions, we are going to be staying around. And please remember that Wednesday, September 4th, we are going to be having a forum for the public advocates and comptrollers, and that will be, again, at the Malcolm X, Dr. Betty Shabazz Cultural and Memorial Educational Center. So thank you very much for coming, and we hope to see you on Wednesday morning.